There are no keys. There's no keys. It's medieval. No keys. I don't know what that means. Crafting. All right, so we have the crafting recipe. We have the crafting service. Oh, we can clean some of this up. I like cleaning things up. All right. So we enter crafting. We're in the workbench. This is us loading the crafting recipes. Set active workbench. So it's really the workbench that I think is doing the work. Craft item. Yeah, it's the workbench that's doing the work. So craft recipe. Okay, so inventory service can craft item. That's the problem. Because what we're doing is we're going through each item slot and we're saying has item quantity. So we're checking each slot to see if it has enough of the item in order to craft. And in this case, we have two separate stacks, each with one item. So I can handle this a couple of ways. One is after I craft, or after I remove, I think I have remove item. After I remove items of a certain quantity, I can like compress all the items together and like restructure, like combine all the stacks. Or when I say can craft and I'm going through each ingredient, I can count it. I can get a total. So has item quantity, player inventory has item quantity. So this is the problem. So what we should do is item slots equals and this should be what does this return? Enumerable, right? Item slot. Okay. Then we say for each slot in slot, and we can say int count equals 0 and say, okay, count is plus quantity, and say if count is greater than the quantity, return true, otherwise false. So this is going to go through all the slots and add up all the slots with that have the item and total it up. And the second it detects that you have more than that, it's going to say you have this amount of item. My Dell likes to, oh, my cat likes to lick the Dell logo on the back of my work laptop. That's not good for your laptop or your cat, I would think. Oh, you guys are talking guitars. I can't help with that. All right, so now let's go back to this. So this should return true. This should return true. So this should now work. But we have to fix remove, because remove is the same problem. Yeah, I guess. Okay. So let's think about the same thing here. IEnumerable slot for each. Let's see what Copilot did for me. Let's see what Copilot did for me. All right. If the current slot's quantity is greater than that quantity I'm looking for, then subtract that quantity. If the quantity is 0 or less, remove the slot. That makes sense. Otherwise, remove the slot quantity from quantity and remove. I kind of think that works. Although, I don't know if I want to use the quantity that's being passed in. Yeah, no, I think that should be fine. All right, let's see if this works. So, go to player and inventory. Let's add some weird stuff here. So let's say we have an iron ingot and an iron ingot. Yep, 1 and 1. Actually, let's make this 1 and 2. And then we'll do 1 piece of wood and 3 pieces of wood. So after I craft, first of all, I should be able to craft. And then and actually this should be 1 and 1. And then let's add another piece of wood and say 2. Okay. So if I... Oh. Didn't like something. Oh, that's right. That's right. We're looping through and removing. So Copilot failed me this time. So what we should do is say list item slot slots to remove, and then instead of doing it here, we add this, we add this, and then we do it after that. Because when working with a collection, you should never remove stuff while you're processing it. It's bad mojo. Could lead to a lot of problems. So let's go here, and we can just add inventory that we had. So we start the game with it already. Wood, 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 iron, iron, iron. So we had 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 3. Nope, didn't like it. What didn't you like? Collection was modified. I thought I fixed this. Oops. Collection was modified. Oh, don't return. This should be break. Wow, that would have been horrible. And we're not modifying here, so let's make sure. Okay. Player. So we have 3 wood and 3 ingots, so I can make another one. And now I have 1 ingot. Okay. Okay. Cool if you could chop down the door. Okay, I think we fixed it. Can't break that chest down. Okay. Alright, so the crafting system bug is fixed. What's next? Oh, placing items. I did kind of want to do that. So instead of throwing them, you place them. There was another bunch of kids answered a temperature question, and I think the answer was like 7 degrees, but a lot of kids were answering 7-0. We realized they were using 0 for the degree symbol. Oh. Yeah, you can't really do the degree symbol, right? I think that's like an ASCII code, you gotta know. All right. So I want to fix the tools in such a way that when you pick something up, you switch to your hands. So let's make that work. Try to remember how everything works here. I think there's an equipment on the player. There's the object manipulator, which we'll need access to. So close other tabs. And then there's the equipment controller. So question to chat. If I have a tool, if I have the axe out, and then I pick up the chest, and then I drop the chest, should I take my axe back out? Or should I have to take the axe out again? What do you guys think? Because what I will do is I will set private equipment type, previous equipment type. Set equipment type. And then say crafted the chest, you may not have your next move be more axing. Since there isn't much use to empty hands, I vote for the axe back for quality of life in UX. I think you're right, Steph. I think that makes more sense. So let me think about this. When you pick something up, so we have hold object, right? So we're gonna, for hold, for this is gonna need a require component. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. Public event action object. Actually, no, we'll say game object on object held, public event action game object on object released. So when we pick up an item, we will invoke and we will pass that. And then when we release an item, right before we set it back to null, on object released, we'll send out that event. Use programmer language. That's funny, yeah. So the equipment controller is going to need access to the object require component type of object manipulator. Okay. Because we're going to want to listen to those events. So public void on disable, public void on enable, and in awake. So we need, let's see here. Let's do private object manipulator, and then here we'll say object manipulator get component, and in this we say object manipulator dot on object held and object release. This should be object manipulator. Object manipulator. Let's make those functions. Okay. And then here we want to, that's unsubscribing. Here we want to subscribe. So object manipulator. There we go. There we go. Let's move this to up here. Okay. So when we do this, we're going to say previous equipment type equals current equipment type. And then we will say set equipment type equal to hands. And then when we, oh, sorry, that's what we want to do when we hold the object. And then we will set the equipment type back to the previous. So let's see if that works. So it did do it, but it's not switching the animator. Why is it not switching the animator? Who calls this? The equipment service calls this. And then it fires, the equipment service fires the event. Oh, okay. Because technically this is happening. Okay, I see why I did it that way. Okay, so this fires an event. And so who is listening for this event? The player animation handler is doing. Okay, so we actually have to change this around. So yeah. Okay, let's not do it this way. We already have a channel to talk to the equipment handler. So yeah, let's get rid of all this. Okay. Okay, we won't do it here. In the object manipulator, so we will say object service equipment service dot set equipment type hands. Okay, but when we release, we want to set it back. So here we need to keep the previous one, which is kind of awkward to do. Is this exposed? It's not. So let's do it this way. We will say restore previous equipment. Okay, that's what we really want to do, right? So let's write it that way. We generate a method here. Public. So what would be nice is we say if the equipment controller is not set, we'll throw a warning. Otherwise, we will call on the equipment controller, we will say restore previous equipment. So we'll just pass that down to here, public. And then we can actually put back the previous one, which we have here, previous equipment type. We can say set equipment type, previous equipment type. But we need to be able to set that. So when we say set equipment type the first time, when we change it here, we will say previous equipment type equals the current equipment type, and then we will change it. Okay, so now this should switch to the hands and everything with the animator, because now it's all hooked into the same system. Because before, we were only manipulating the changing of equipment through the tool wheel. So that was calling the event. In order to do that, we did that through the equipment service. So you would click a button on the tool wheel, like here, you'd click this button, that would call the equipment service. The player registered with the service. So when I click this button, I pass that request through the service to the equipment manager on the player, which then told the player to swap weapons and also update the animator, because the animator needs to switch to a different layer because it needs to drop the other hand. It needs to, you know, put the other hand in the right position so it can handle the attack animation and all that stuff. But now, let's just build something. Crap. So now, when I pick this up, it's back to the hands, and when I drop it, it didn't switch back. Okay, so we'll look at that. Oh, I can, okay, so if I'm holding something, we have to prevent you from switching. So that's a bug. And on top of that, we have to switch back to this. So we were on, let's put a debug here. Oh, did we not save that? Ah, we didn't save it. That's why. We didn't save these things. Those code files were not saved. That's probably why it wasn't working. Dayanara, do you mind if I put the music in show and tell, or do you want everything to be a surprise? No, no, happy. Put it in show and tell. I'm really trying to get this done. I know it seems like I'm dragging my feet, but I'm really trying to get this done so we can, I want to put it in front of people. All right, so let's take out the axe. But yeah, feel free to share it, and that's totally fine. There we go. Ah, but it didn't switch back, so we have to remember. So this, if oh, come on. All right, we need to store it in here. So public, private, static, equipment type, previous. Previous type.